Remember that they're changing my voice. I don't need to explain myself to anybody. Don't forget that. You people are in rebellion against God, and you've profoundly disgraced yourselves and your families, and your country, your churches, what have you. But in regards to what happened today, where the military really crossed the line with their allies, it's a military-grade psyop that has to do with military people, must include contractors, police, what have you, etc. And it also applies to whatever people are on duty, whatever groups they're from, FBI, police, whatever, right? Jewish provocateurs, what have you. What happened was they're fuming me and they're poisoning me. Keep in mind, I have 23 witnesses on record. Again, 23 witnesses on record, including witnesses to the fumes and poisons. Just the fact that, the state didn't respond by investigating this thing thoroughly, taking samples of my car and the fumes, the residue on the car from whatever fumes they're using. They didn't do an effective investigation of my father's humanitarian. You don't have to be a religious person to see this case is important. That overkills the fact that I'm right to give the verdict. Basically, what had happened was I was being fumed and poisoned, and an issue came up that came up in a way that had to do with me calling on God and God's judgment, because I'm very much in the right, and the issue was about torturing me, the Messiah, at a time period when there's no reason to believe that I'll be alive in the flesh much longer. I've been talking to their staff about this for quite some time, that as it comes toward the end, their punishments are increased. So they had a firm understanding that if they proceeded, that extreme punishment from God would come on their souls and their family souls. They chose to power trip instead. Yeah, you have to all understand that. Now again, I don't care what people think. I don't care about their judgment. I only worry about God's judgment. But in order to serve God as effectively as I can, I figured that I should explain this a little bit more, because the video I made was short, and it kind of leaves people wondering what had happened. Okay, so even if somebody was just to hack my phone or something, okay, if they were to use fumes and poisons to bring about a situation where the spirit of the state clashes with the spirit of God over an issue I'm right about. It's not something like, hey, give me something for free for no reason or something. But it's something that has to do with doing God's work. If that thing occurs at this point in time, the people doing it in their groups that they're representing, the other people from the groups would do the same thing basically across the board. Okay, extreme punishment comes onto them. It's like Sodom and Gomorrah. It doesn't take all of them misbehaving at the same time against angels or the Messiah. It just takes a group of them in their spirit. And I've warned them about this many times. We've discussed collective guilt many times. They chose to go forward. The verdict stands. There's nothing anyone can do about that now. It's sad that they hate the military and their families and their offspring so much that they proceeded with that. It's sad that the governing class hates them so much, and it also goes for the governing class. Recently in the news, Prince Harry was talking about reconciliation, and because he's part of the governing class, unless he can prove to me that I should give him a pass on this issue, which is nearly impossible to do, okay, because his kind of falling out with the English royal family is a kind of, publicity stunt at best. But if you can prove to me that he's actually separate from that, I'll consider discussions about reconciliation, but they won't include anyone being able to reproduce and still be right with God, mind you. Right? People must stop reproducing. Okay? But you got to understand the issue at stake here. This wasn't about whatever issue was going on, whether it was me giving a speech, me editing a video, or anything that has to do with me doing God's work in the moral repetition, whether or not people are watching the videos. And in kind of typical gun-ho military spirit, they tend to say, well, no one's watching your videos anyway, like an angry white redneck or something. It's hard to pinpoint the explanation of it, but it's like an angry white military guy who's very much associated with conservatism and racism, and they say things like that. And that they come at it with various aspects of the American spirit, various typical spirits in the American spirit that are military spirits. So they, on behalf of the military, on behalf of the country, on behalf of the West, on behalf of the inhabitants of the earth to some degree, though I draw the line at the groups that I've named here, on this verdict. They did that in their spirit on their behalf. Okay, if you start a war with people in your spirit, in their uniform, following orders from their organization, okay, the war commences. They started, they continued aggression against God and God's spirit. And so the most extreme verdict against the military and against America has now occurred. And it's only second, I'd imagine, to when my flesh finally dies, that it goes without saying that there's an automatic verdict that occurs, that all who are responsible, obviously according to their deeds, are going to be punished to the extreme. These are people also getting a kind of black-faced mocker way about them, where they try to mock my words, they try to put words in my mouth, they try to say what I'm getting at ahead of time. They say, for example, I say, okay, therefore there's going to be consequences. Before I even say the word consequences, they'll say consequences. Yeah, they'll do stuff like that to try to pretend that they're, doing something to offend God, to mock. It says in Isaiah, it says, stop mocking or your chains will become heavier. I believe it's Isaiah 28. And they just refuse to do that. So as you can see, the verdict is sound, the verdict stands.